Imagine a world where your entire evening revolved around catching just one show at one specific hour on a cable channel you paid a fortune for each month. In 2010, over 105 million American households lived this way. Then, streaming wiped out decades of old habits, nearly halving cable's audience in under 15 years. How did such a seemingly permanent system unravel so fast? Within a single generation, everything changed. Evenings in the cable era had their own quiet choreography. The living room would fill with the soft glow of the television, the hum of a bulky cable box, and the familiar click of a remote as someone flipped through endless channels. Families gathered not just for a show, but for the ritual itself, waiting for the clock to strike 8, hoping no one else had claimed the remote first. The TV guide, thick with listings and circled favorites, sat on the coffee table like a map to the week ahead. Missing an episode meant waiting for a rerun or catching whispers at school or work the next day. Channel bundles, with dozens of networks you never watched, came bundled with monthly bills that seemed to creep higher every year. Yet, these routines felt permanent. The sound of commercials became background noise for homework or dinner, and the debate over what to watch was as much a part of family life as the meal itself. Physical artifacts shaped the experience. The remote passed from hand to hand, the cable bill folded and tucked away, the TV guide dog-eared and scribbled with notes. Even the act of setting a DVR or R recording felt like a small victory, a way to bend the schedule just a little. But for most, television meant showing up on time, together, for whatever the cable gods had planned. In those moments, control belonged to the system, not the viewer. The living room was a stage, and the show always started right on schedule. Cable bills didn't just nudge upward, they climbed year after year, outpacing inflation and household paychecks alike. Families opened envelopes to find new charges buried in the fine print. Sports fees, equipment rentals, mysterious surcharges. What started as a $50 monthly splurge in the 1990s ballooned past $100 by the next decade, with little explanation beyond a line item labeled bundle. The promise of hundreds of channels felt hollow when so many sat unused, yet dropping them meant losing access to the few shows everyone actually wanted. For many households, the frustration was less about content and more about control. The cable box dictated what played and when. Even with the arrival of DVRs like TiVo in 1999, there were limits. Recordings filled up fast, and skipping commercials felt like a small rebellion rather than a new normal. TiVo's cheerful chime became a familiar sound, but it couldn't untangle the web of bundled channels, or the creeping sense that the system was rigged to keep viewers hooked and paying. As bills rose, conversations around kitchen tables shifted from excitement about new channels to complaints about cost. Some families started to question why they were paying so much for shows they barely watched, or why missing a recording meant waiting weeks for another shot. The sense of permanence that cable once held began to crack, replaced by a restless curiosity. Was there a better way to watch? The search for alternatives was no longer just about saving money. It was about finding freedom from a system that seemed designed to frustrate. In the late 1990s, the idea of watching video over the internet felt more like science fiction than the future of television. Early tools like Real Player and Windows Media Player promised a glimpse of what could be, but reality lagged far behind the dream. Buffering icons spun endlessly on screens, chopping up grainy clips into fits and starts. A single short video could stall a dial-up connection for minutes, and most people gave up before the punchline ever landed. The technology was there, but the infrastructure just could not keep up. Yet, beneath the frustration, something was brewing. In 2005, 3 former PayPal employees, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim, launched YouTube. Their first upload, a simple clip called Me at the Zoo, did not look like much, but soon millions of people were clicking, sharing, and uploading their own videos. The site's servers buckled under the weight of this new demand, crashing as viral moments took off. But the hunger for on-demand video was impossible to ignore. What started as a handful of home videos quickly became a global phenomenon. Suddenly, anyone with an internet connection could broadcast to the world, no cable subscription required. The old barriers of schedule and gatekeepers began to fade, replaced by a restless energy and a growing sense that better technology was just around the corner. In 2007, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph faced a crossroads. Netflix had become a household name for red envelopes and late fees, but the founders saw the writing on the wall. The DVD era would not last forever. That year, they made a bet that felt reckless to some: unlimited streaming of movies and television shows delivered over the internet for $7.99 a month. It was not just a technical gamble, it was a leap into a future where the old rules no longer applied. The first version was clunky, with a limited library and video quality that sometimes sputtered, but the promise was undeniable. No more waiting for discs in the mail, no more worrying about returns. Just click and watch anytime. The risks were real. Studios hesitated to license their best titles, fearing they might undercut their own cable deals. Netflix burned through cash to secure streaming rights, often settling for second-tier content. Behind the scenes, engineers scrambled to keep up with demand as more subscribers tried to stream at once. Every glitch, every loading wheel was a reminder that the dream was still outpacing the reality. That same year, a different kind of experiment launched: Hulu. Backed by NBC and Fox, Hulu offered free, ad-supported episodes of current shows online. For the first time, broadcasters themselves were putting their biggest hits on the internet, hoping to catch viewers who were drifting away from cable. The message was clear: streaming was not just a sideshow anymore. It was a real contender, and the race for the future of television had begun. Everything changed when the pipes, the screens, and the software finally lined up. In 2006, a new generation of cable modems, DOCSIS 3.0, pushed broadband speeds far beyond what most homes had ever seen. Suddenly, video did not have to crawl through the internet, it could sprint. In 2007, the iPhone put a pocket-sized screen and a fast connection into millions of hands, turning every commute and coffee break into a chance to watch something new. A year later, Roku arrived, a small, unassuming box that plugged into the TV and quietly replaced the cable box for good. By 2009, Apple's HTTP live streaming protocol solved the last big headache: buffering. Adaptive bitrate streaming meant the video adjusted itself on the fly, keeping the picture smooth even when Wi-Fi faltered. For the first time, a household could click play and watch an entire movie. No stutters, no waiting, no excuses. The old friction was gone. Streaming felt effortless, and the living room would never be the same. February 2013 arrived with a quiet revolution. Netflix released every episode of House of Cards at once, a $100 million gamble that no traditional network would touch. That weekend, 2 million streams poured in as viewers ignored the clock and devoured the entire season in a single sitting. The idea of waiting a week for the next twist suddenly felt archaic. Families and roommates started planning their evenings around binge sessions, passing popcorn instead of the remote, debating plot twists deep into the night. For the first time, a streaming service wasn't just competing with cable, it was setting the pace. Critics treated House of Cards like an event, and Hollywood took notice. The old stigma that streaming was for leftovers or reruns vanished overnight. Award season buzzed with Netflix's name, and millions of households found themselves hooked on a new kind of television ritual. Watching what they wanted, when they wanted, as much as they wanted. If you enjoy discovering how technology keeps reshaping our world, make sure to subscribe for more stories like this. Suddenly, streaming wasn't just an alternative, it was the main event. The question wasn't whether streaming could rival cable, it was whether cable could keep up. Streaming now commands nearly half of all TV viewing, racing toward a future even cable could not imagine. As platforms multiply and habits shift faster than ever, the next disruption is already taking shape. The cycle never ends because no technology stays on top forever. Stay curious and subscribe for what is next.